UFC Vegas 20 for another UFC fight night this Saturday. Back with another video. UFC breakdowns, free picks, and weekly updates. Weekly updates on system capping and the world of myself as a sports handicapper. I'll be going over my sports updates, weekly updates, and everything few in between. The main event that was supposed to happen 3 years ago, guys. This fight was supposed to happen 3 years ago. If you guys remember, Whitaker got sick, illness. He had some sort of illness 10 hours before the fight and had to back out of the fight. And the fight never got rescheduled after that. And now it is being rescheduled 3 years later. So pretty crazy how that works out. It's a decent card. Decent card overall. Not a great betting card, guys, from a betting standpoint, especially on the main card. I should have some plays out to subscribers on the prelims. But yeah, main card's nothing great, guys. Remember, don't force plays just to bet. And I think this is one of those weeks. So we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the main cards. But there's a couple fun fights on this card. A couple of guys that we like to see in action and, you know, always put up a good fight. So we'll get into those shortly. Last week, Vettori, he got it done. Vettori got it done. Similar game plan to Brunson. That's the way to beat Holland, right? Sure, you can try to stand and bang with him, but you could get caught. And you know, Vettori got a couple nice clips from Holland when he was on the feet. So he said, "Let me just take this down. It's too easy." And you know, Vettori, he's very well rounded, but he's not a specific striker or a specific wrestler. Or a BJJ artist. He's good at everything. He's an all-around fighter. And, you know, he just out-wrestled him. He was just stronger than him. And same thing as Brunson. He just did more damage, right? Vettori did a lot more damage. He opened that eye. And that eye was pretty bad. They almost stopped that in the third round. His eye almost got closed there. A couple nice ground and pound elbows. I think that caused it. But you've seen once again, when Holland's on his feet, there's some window for opportunity when he's on his feet, right? Very dangerous when he's on his feet. But you have to be the whole package in the MMA world. And once you get your weakness exposed, big trouble. So I love to see him go down to Dagestan and train wrestling for 9 months and come back new and improved and not get bullied on the ground. I was on Vettori. I didn't obviously bet it straight, way too high. We parlayed it, 2-fight parlay with Jack Shore. That was my main play of the card. A full unit play on that. No best bets on the card last week. However, we didn't have any luck on my smaller plays. I had a couple smaller plays. I had the Nigerian Youssef. Close fight. You know, Allen showed with his couple big strikes. That was the turning point in the fights, right? He dropped him a couple times. Youssef got right back up. Great fight overall. Very technical, striking fight. Good fight to watch. But Allen was just a bit better and got the win there. And then I also had the fight to go to the distance in the Dern fight. And Dern pulled off a great submission showing that she is a top 5 fighter in this division. So small, it was a 1-2 weekend. Small unit loss, but no best bet difference there. Updated here. Still 65% past 16 months, guys. Unit slightly down due to some juice, right? Due to some juice on those plays. Weekly update, guys. Weekly update on all sports. Let's go over the system capping. Huge masters, guys. Huge masters for myself and subscribers. Over 7 units total profit, 2-0 best bets, and 3-0 on matchups. Golf has been very kind to myself over the past 12 months since I've been providing the plays. Golf has been good for me, to be honest, the past 3 years, but those haven't been documented. But you know, the past year, very, very solid for me in the PGA. 14-5 best bet run, 74%, plus 48.6 units prop bets and matchups, and 7 outright winners, guys. 7 outright winners. We had an outright winner the other week with Spieth at plus 1,200. Big shout out to obviously Hideki in Japan. Big shout out to him for winning that. I did not see him winning. He wasn't coming into good form in this tournament. He did play some good Masters. previously. And the course did kind of fit him, but not too many people seen this coming. Nice performance by him, and a shout out to him and Japan for winning. Good guy all around as well. Very classy guy. And they had some pictures of him just hanging out in the airport with his green jacket over the chair that he was sitting on. It was pretty funny. Yeah, but PGA's been great, guys. And talk about great, the NHL. It's been the best sport for me personally this year in 2021. It's a sport to attack. For all you handicappers that haven't been betting NHL, you're totally missing out. Their new format and their new divisions, it's very easy to capitalize in the NHL and to find some good spots on back-to-backs. I'll give you guys some tips here that I use as my system, so I'm giving out to you guys for free. Just look for these back-to-back games. Teams that have been playing, three in a row. Sometimes they've been playing 2 or 3 in a row against the same team, right? So look for those. Look for those games. Look for obviously backup goalies playing, and obviously anything on the COVID list you want to look for as well. It's coming close to playoff time. You're going to want to look at teams trying to make the playoffs, try to improve their position. Look for that as well. NHL's been outstanding, guys. 64% year to date, 66% the last 47 plays. 66% the last 47. You won't find that in the market, guys. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an NHL expert. I've been betting hockey maybe I've been betting sports for 16 years, but I can't really say hockey's been my focus. It's always been NFL, and now lately obviously UFC, but NHL and NBA, PGA, I've been really focusing on the past 5 years now, and I find good spots in the NHL. So NHL, obviously those plays go to my subscribers. You can check that out on my website, of course, systemsportscapping.com. NBA has been profitable, but very low volume. I haven't been finding good spots. I haven't been feeling comfortable in the NBA in spreads due to late, COVID, late. The schedule's been crazy for a lot of teams too. And then just late changes in lineups, like half an hour. You can't get out to subscribers. I can't get plays out when a guy, is a game time decision. It's tough to bet NBA. Still profitable. I think 19-12 on the NBA year. Nothing special, but still profitable. MLB has been a slow start, about 500 right now. It's early though. I'll get going once I feel out the teams a little more. Remember, systemsportscapping.com for all my subscription info, updated records, videos, and bio is all there. I do post free plays every week, obviously on the video for UFC. Other sports, I'll post free plays a couple times a week in Twitter Fleets. Follow me on Twitter Fleets and Instagram as well as System Capping. Askren and Paul this weekend, guys. Askren and Paul, I got to mention this quickly before I talk main card UFC. I'll be watching it. I'm not going to lie. I have my 3 screens going, and it's going to be on one of them. I want to see how this turns out. I do think Paul gets it done. But I hope Askren wins. I hate this Paul guy. He talks too much. I hope he ends his boxing career right here. But I think Askren is going to... I don't know how good his cardio is if this does go late. I know he can take a shot. I just don't know how good his cardio will be. I think Paul's been training a lot with some big guys, some good guys. He's been sparring with some MMA guys this week from Bellator. We'll see what happens. I know Askren was training for Freddie Roach. That's always a big thing, but we will see. I'm going to watch it. They got my money. All right, guys, let's get right into it. Let's get right into the main event. Remember, guys, shop around. Shop around is very important. You see these numbers here that I'm posting. They're opening numbers or, midweek numbers. Shop around before you make your bets. Let's get right into it, guys. Whitaker minus 260 versus Gastelum plus 210. Hopefully this one finally happens, as I mentioned earlier. Still a few days away. Anything can happen. This line seems a bit high. So I do, when I say the value is a bit high, I do think there's slight value with Gastelum because of that. But, Kevin's looking to get back on track after a rough stretch, and he started it. He started with a nice win over Ian Heinisch. But if you look at his previous 3 losses in a row, it's against top competition. Israel, great fight. He could have won that fight. It was a war and one of the best fights we've seen in the UFC. Till was a close split decision, and then Jack Hermant, and he just got caught with a heel hook early in round 1. So these losses aren't, they're not against bad competition. When you look into the more, a couple close fights, and then obviously the heel hook where he got caught. He looked pretty good against Ian. He had a well-rounded game plan, but it was the takedowns. I think 5 or 6 takedowns that he got that secured him the win. It's going to be a little tougher to take Whittaker. I'll get into that here in a second. Whittaker's been looking great. A couple unanimous decision wins over Cannonier and Till. And I think he's obviously the true number 1 contender for the title, in my opinion. UFC hasn't came out and told him that as of yet. I don't know what they're waiting for, but if he beats Gastelum, I do think he is the number 1 here. I think Gastelum's only chance to win this fight is not just stand and strike, right? He could catch him, sure, but I think his path is to make it ugly and grapple against the cage, try to wrestle with him, try to take him down. Whittaker's takedown defense is very good. Very good. He can wrestle as well. So I just have a hard time seeing Gastelum winning this fight, just because I do think Whittaker's pretty much better everywhere. I can maybe lean Gastelum has the better chin. That's the only thing I can really say here. Gastelum has the better chin, maybe a little more durable. But we've seen Whittaker, take beatings as well. We've seen him go 5 rounds. This is a fight that I do see going the distance, but I could also see a later stoppage, 4th or 5th round. So this is a very tough fight to call an outcome on. It's very tough to say who's going to win by decision or KO, and that's why this 260 is tough to bet. Like I really can't get to Whittaker. I like Whittaker to win the fight. If I am going to bet it, it's going to make a 2-fight parlay. It hasn't made one as of yet. I will be doing more work on that, and of course looking at the weigh-ins before I give them all my plays out to my subscribers. But, right now I'm leaning Whittaker. I don't like the minus 260 price. I just think he is better everywhere besides the chin. So if Gastelum catches him, he could. It's UFC. I think Whittaker wins this fight 7 out of 10 times. So 70% I think is a very good number here. It's just like I don't want to lay 260 straight up. So you have to be flexible. You have to know how to bet the fight instead of laying that big price. And the way to bet fights not laying this big price is 2 ways. Finding an outcome. Is it going to be a decision or is it going to be a knockout? I don't know, to be honest. I lean decision. I lean decision by Whittaker just because of Gastelum's history, right? So I do lean the decision, but maybe it's about a 55-60%, lean for a decision here. And then another way is obviously putting in a 2-fight parlay. And I do very well in my 2-fight parlays or 2-team parlays, and that's all I suggest with parlays, guys. A lot of, I tell a lot of my subscribers and just everyone in general not to bet parlays, but 2-fight parlays and 2-team parlays that are, you can get plus money on them. I recommend them if you can find the spot. I think this is a spot here to put Whittaker in a parlay. And I lean him by decision, but that's not a strong play. If you can get the over in rounds, maybe over 2.5, over 3.5, that would be a look as well. Co-main, guys. Co-main is an interesting random one, to say the least. But that's what you're going to get out of a UFC Fight Night card. Jeremy Stephens minus 120 versus Close plus 100. Stephens a veteran these days. Lots of fights, fought a lot of tough competition in the UFC. The resumes aren't even close against Close. You got that one? Fun guy to watch. Tons of power with Stephens and a fun striker to watch. And that's what we should see here. We should see big strikes from both guys trying to clip the other. Stephens doesn't have a win since 2018. That's something to keep in mind here, guys. And he's lost his last 4 with a draw. So he doesn't have a win in his last 5. But they're against the top competition at 145. He's moving up to 155 for this. The experience and resume goes to Stephens. Check, check. right? It's not even close. But he did fight Dariush in his last outing. We see how good Dariush is. Dariush obviously clipped him and beat him there. And he's going off to fight Tony Ferguson soon, which should be a fun one. It's just a tough fight to call, and the price tells you that, right? Steven's coming off that bad KO to Cater. He got knocked out bad, took some time off. We haven't seen him for over a year. So this isn't a fight that's going to make my betting card. I suggest it doesn't. I mentioned earlier in the video, this is not a great card from a betting standpoint. You know, I lean Stevens in this one, but I won't be getting involved. I suggest you guys stay away. I think the fight will go over 1.5 rounds. That's something to look at here if you're going to give me a play on this fight. I'm going to look at the over 1.5 rounds. That could even end up going the distance as well. Next fight here, guys. Pena. Silent Bob is back. Oh my god. -150 versus Munoz +125. Munoz is 0-1 in the UFC. He started in the UFC against a very tough fight. I don't know why they gave him this fight. I can't remember. Maybe it was a short notice. Nazareth was his first fight. And he obviously lost that fight. You know, he showed his signs. He hung in there. He was tough, but it's a tough first UFC fight. Pena's coming off a sub loss to Kamaru Worthy. Yes, a sub to Worthy. He looked lost in that fight. And he's lost his last 2 out of 3 fights. You're telling me to lay -150 with Pena right now against a guy who can wrestle and take you down? Craziness. I would never lay -150 with Pena. He hasn't shown me anything in the UFC to bet him at -150. This is crazy. Sure, he could win this fight because it's a 50-50 type of fight. But when I see a clear path to victory for one guy, and it's Munoz, is he going to stay to the game plan and just take Pena down is the question? I don't know. But that's what he should do. He should just take down Pena and wrestle him. Now, Pena could maybe he's good on the ground. He can pull off a submission. But I think Munoz will be more physical in this fight. And you're getting me +125. Sign me up as a dog play here. I'll be looking at Munoz. This may even make my card as a subscriber play, guys. Billy Algeo is back, -120 versus Ramos +100. We've seen Billy a bit, this past year. Yeah, he's been fighting quite a bit, and he fights for your money. He's one of those tough guys that will fight until the end of the bell, and his cardio is great. He'll go to the end of the bell. He beat a tough Spike Carlisle last time out. It was a tough brawl, and he had a tough brawl with Lamas. Remember, he took that on short notice. He's a veteran, which was close, but Lamas did enough. But Algeo was in there. He was in that fight. This is a sneaky good fight here, which it should be a close fight, in my opinion. Both guys have solid records. Ramos is coming off a loss versus Laron Murphy, very solid striker. And was in there with Syed Nurmagomedov as well. So I do lean Ramos for the better competition. He's fought the better guys here. But I can't bet against Billy, guys. Very well-rounded fighter, BJJ black belt, and his good volume. He's not going to overwhelm me with power. He doesn't have a lot of power or knockout ability, but he has a lot of good volume. And if it does get to the ground, he's not a fish out of water. He knows what to do on his back. He knows when in the BJJ clinches and in that position. It's a fight I can see going all 3 rounds as well. I don't see a finish in this one. If you want some value and the fighter you like, I take the decision prop. Take the decision prop, you get a lot better there. But yeah, I'm probably going to lean Billy here. I haven't got to the window as of yet on Billy. It hasn't made my subscriber card, but I will be looking his way currently. Abdul Razak. Now, I have a very big problem with this line, guys. I'm going to do a little rant here. -300 for Abdul Razak minus reference Malkoun +240. Now, this is another fight you don't want to bet, right? This line is crazy in my opinion. -300 for a guy who's lost his last 2, and only really can win by an early KO. If he doesn't knock you out in the first round, his opponent win percentage goes up 30%. He missed weight in his last 2 fights, so moved up a division. So he'll be moving up a division, trying to knock out a bigger guy. If he loses this fight, it's safe to say he could get cut. So that's what kind of scares me to jump in all on the dog. Another thing that scares me to jump all on the dog, Malkoun's not good, guys. He's not good. He's one of the training partners for Whitaker. So they just throw him on the card here with Whitaker. He's good on the ground, Malkoun, but it's not going to get there. Right? If Malkoun's smart, he'll try to take this to the ground and somehow try to submit him. If you stand with this guy, you're most likely going to get knocked out. Right? I'm not willing to pay this minus 300. I bet you KO prop is minus as well. I haven't looked at it, guys, but I'm betting that minus, it's probably minus 120 or minus 150 KO prop for Zach. It's crazy. It's crazy the way he looked ever since coming back from his time off. So this is a big, hard pass for me. If you guys put a little money on Malkoun plus 2-4, I wouldn't call you crazy. If you're throwing Razak minus 300 in your parlays, I would call you crazy. You never know what's going to happen in this fight, guys. Stay away. Last fight here, Orlowski minus 125 versus Sherman plus 105. Not the greatest card. This main event's not great, guys. I'm sorry, this main card is not great. You can hear it in my voice, and you can hear it also, just from my breakdowns here. Not much. I'm not getting into too much detail here on this card. Andre's fighting, he's fighting a bunch, it seems, right? He's taking fights on short notice. He doesn't care. He'll just fight anybody. Looks like he just wants paychecks at this time. 1 week's notice on this one. Coming off a fight versus Aspinall, who I think is one of the futures of this division. I love the guy. We were all on Aspinall on that. We paid the big price. Orlowski was surprised. Orlowski was surprised in that fight. He mentioned in an interview he got out wrestled. Remember, he got taken down and ground and pound. He said that was his game plan, and it backfired on him. He never got to use his wrestling. Sherman's this guy. He's all over the place. Horrible start in the UFC. Then he went off to another promotion, and now he's on a 4-fight win streak. But only one of those has been in the UFC. Sherman will obviously put more output. He'll probably use some leg kicks. He'll have the more output. He has a decent win over Villanueva his last time out. So I lean Sherman here, but it's not a fight I'm going to be involved in. I don't know how good a shape Orlovsky's in on the 1 week's notice. That's why I would lean Sherman here. But this is a fight to stay away from, guys. Bottom of the division, heavyweight, guys. You don't want to be betting these type of fights. If you do it recreational. Do it small unit plays. I lean Sherman small unit, but it's not a fight I'm going to be betting. Remember, guys, you don't need to bet every fight. That will do it for the main card. It's just some advice I want to give you guys. You don't have to force plays. Don't bet. I even do it sometimes too. I force a play when I probably shouldn't have. And it's just something that you learn over the years not to do it often, right? And like I say, always stay away from those large parlays. You're not going to win long-term with that. Straight bets give you long-term success. All right, guys, like I always say, bet smart and know your limits. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Take care.